Hey everyone, my name is JJ Paulson. I'm a student entrepreneur and co-founder of the tech startup Perch. I want to invite you for coffee and conversation on our weekly series, Coffee Talks. We're here to showcase the heartbeat of Gainesville's entrepreneurial spirit. I want to give a quick thank you as this series is made possible by Afternoon Roasting and Seven Ashes Productions. So grab your favorite mug, settle in, and let's explore the exciting world of entrepreneurship together. Now let's meet this week's guest.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is Ganativ. On today's episode of Coffee Talks, sponsored by Afternoon Roasting and Seven Ashes Productions, we have Rebel Supplements co-founders Aiden and Daniel. Thank you guys for joining us. I'd love for you guys to just introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about Rebel, and we'll jump into it.
Perfect. So, hey everybody, my name's Aiden. I'm a junior at the University of Florida, studying business and entrepreneurship. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I got to talk about myself for a little bit. But I grew up in Missouri and decided I want to go to school in Florida because that's usually where we went to vacation. As you know, as kids, everyone from Missouri went down to Florida. So I still feel like I'm on vacation. And together we started Rebel Supplements nearing 2 years ago, I'd say. And that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, give or take. The idea for Rebel came
Who
from
are you?
really, oh, yeah. I'm Daniel Matus. I'm the other co-founder. I'm not in college. I do a few other things, one of them being real estate in the Southwest Florida. But other than that, huge passion of mine is obviously the business. And so, with that being said, the idea for Rebel it came from us just experimenting on our own. So we've been working out for a while, and we've been taking pre-workout for a while. I remember the first time I took pre-workout, I was in like high school. Maybe it was the craziest thing to me. I was like, I don't know if I should take that again. And of course, down the line we got back into it. But yeah, we were just working out one summer, and you know, we had the bright idea of just ordering our own ingredients, so sourcing them off Amazon,
Uh-huh.
and to make our own blend of pre-workout because a lot of things that were out there on the market, they just weren't exactly what we were looking for. We like some formulas that had a high amount of beta alanine, for example, and then other formulas that had a high amount of citrulline, and then some formulas had a little bit of both, but it didn't really taste good, or they were missing something.
Mhm.
So we made our own blend.
So the blend means you guys add like flavoring. Is that what it is? Or
So no, I'm gonna get into that.
Uh-huh.
We made our own blend of just raw ingredients, and we
Okay.
kind of like muscled it down.
Cool.
And it tasted horrible. All right, so this is where this wasn't like a business thing. This was just something we wanted to do for ourselves
Okay.
because we wanted to get a better pre-workout.
Right.
And we muscled it down. We would like take it down a bunch of water and then maybe like take something else with it, like some
Yeah.
type of flavoring to make it go down. But after we got it down, the workouts we had afterwards were phenomenal. The formula worked amazing, just as we thought it would. We then experimented flavoring it with a little bit of Mio and stuff. It didn't really work, but it was a start. We gave it to some of our other fellow gym goers, people we knew that were working out to like just try out. No strings attached or anything. It was just like, hey, we made this. This is pretty good. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Sure. And they tried it out. We got a lot of great feedback that the formula was amazing. Skin splitting pumps, all those gym terms that people use, like all that. It was a big success in that aspect, and kind of dawned on us like this could be a product. If we could nail a flavor for this, like if it doesn't taste like battery acid, like people would like the effects of this. This could be a good formula.
Yeah.
And from there, we found a supplier, got some samples in, ended up flavoring it right, and picking a flavor, going with it, and just rolling with it. I mean, and that was about 2 years ago, give or take, a little less. And then here we are now. But that was kind of the initial start. That's what
Uh-huh.
just paved our way to actually get into this supplement.
Right.
Was
Right.
that.
So I'm interested in how you guys initially found a recipe. Like, how did you guys do any research, or was it just you kind of just threw what you guys wanted into a mix and then tried it out?
Yeah, so a lot of the one thing you'll know is that if you're someone that is pretty serious about taking pre-workout and you go
Uh-huh.
to the gym often, you'll know what these ingredients do.
Okay.
And yeah, a big part of it came from like researching the effective doses of what you need, and then some doses are clinically dosed, but that doesn't mean, clinically doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the most optimal dose for a 200-pound 6'2"
Right.
male that's going to the gym every day.
So
It might
this
be
is
higher than that.
okay. Okay.
So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, research definitely went into it. But we were kind of already familiar beforehand with ingredients and certain things like that, so that made it easier. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that
Cool.
was
Cool.
And they could definitely talk more about the ingredients and actually what's in ours and why
Yeah,
ours is
definitely.
more valuable to the pre-workout consumer and other things like that later, of course.
Yeah, no, so I looked at your guys' ingredients. You guys have a few ingredients. I don't, how is it usually with pre-workout? Is it like packed with ingredients?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, most pre-workouts are going to have anywhere from 5 to 15 ingredients. First of all, you want to stay away from pre-workouts with proprietary blends. Those are going to be cheaper pre-workouts like
Okay.
a C4
Interesting.
or, and for those of you who don't know what a proprietary blend is, it's kind of like they'll say 1,000 milligrams and it will say like energy blend. And then they'll have 15 different ingredients within that proprietary blend. With caffeine, this, that. You don't know the actual doses. It could be 999 milligrams of just filler and then 1 milligram of caffeine. So we stay away from that. And then a lot of pre-workouts, the biggest pillars that you'll find in a pre-workout that make a solid pre-workout are going to, of course, be the caffeine content, citrulline content, beta alanine, and then really, what else would you say? Some form of, cognitive.
yeah. I mean, there's three main things you want to hit on in a pre-workout. You want your energy, so you're going to
Right.
need your stim. That's mostly going to be coming from caffeine.
Right.
You want your focus, and then you want your pump. So there's really there's a bunch of ingredients that go to make up those three things, but really, like Aiden said, the biggest things are going to be caffeine for some type of energy, citrulline, glycosides, or nitrosamine. Any one of those ingredients that we have amongst these two pre-workouts, those are going to be great for pump. And then focus. That's one thing is with a lot of people that are going to the gym, a lot of people struggle to get a good mind muscle connections when they're working out, or they're like, you're ever in the gym and you're hitting muscle, you're like, I don't really feel like I'm hitting the right muscle.
If you're not focused, it's
not
not,
like
it's,
this.
Yeah.
it's not going to be a good workout.
So so that's a huge thing. And then so for the focus, there's a bunch of different like nootropics and compounds that help with that. In our pre-workout, we have L-theanine, L-tyrosine, and also huperzine and theobromine.
And then alpha GPC as well.
And
but
GPC,
if we can kind of explain the biggest differences for just to break it down into easy terms, like let's just take one ingredient, for example, L-citrulline. We're dosed at 7,000 milligrams of pure L-citrulline. Typically, you'll find most pre-workouts dosed at around 4,000 to 6,000 milligrams of L-citrulline.
Okay.
6,000 being on the high end, but that's not pure L-citrulline. They'll use citrulline malate, which is a 1-to-1 ratio of citrulline and malic acid. That's cheaper to manufacture, cheaper to produce, and you're really going to be getting, if it's 6,000 milligrams of citrulline malate, do the math, you're going to be getting 3,000 milligrams of pure citrulline. So a lot of the issues, in my opinion, in the supplement space is it's a very saturated space, especially sports nutrition, and most of it's marketing. It's marketing because you have bigger companies with a bankroll, and they'll put ads in front of your face, and they'll tell you why theirs is the best, and they'll use fancy marketing jargon like clinically dosed, and really most people are like, oh yeah, that's the best. We see that, we'll pick it. That's the flavor, and those companies are the ones that are addressing a big portion of that market.
I mean, the first thing that you look at, the first thing that comes to mind is like Prime recently, right? Prime is, everything is just marketing for them. And I think that's that's something that I was going to ask you about is how do you guys manage to compete with these huge players that have, you know, way more money for marketing than
Yeah,
college students, right?
it's definitely hard. It's a harder thing to do, but one way, you know, we're bringing a premium product to the market a lot. Like Aiden just said, a lot of these bigger players, they're bringing a lower quality product to the market,
Right.
a lot lower quality. But so one thing that does for us is it helps our like customer retention and also like conversion rate from one customer to another. So that's one thing that we have a leg over them as opposed to like cost. They're able to beat us at cost all day every day. But yeah, a big thing, you know, is getting into stores. I mean, everyone going into stores, but a lot of people are already looking for pre-workouts. That's a very, you know, easy way for us to get exposure. Is in stores. And but I would say the biggest thing is just kind of educating people because a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And you know, if you can appropriately explain the differences between our formula and some of the other big players out there, I think a lot of people, you know, I might give this a shot. I just hope it doesn't taste bad.
If you sit down and you explain it to someone, sure, they're probably going to want to buy something like this, but it's hard to communicate that message when you don't have the budget, right?
And exactly. And to that point, most of our, you know, we can spend hundreds of dollars on ads and, you know, someone's going to have the attention span of a goldfish and just swipe through it. So the most effective way, instead of, you know, spending time to try or spending money and trying to advertise, the best and most effective way we found to educate people is actually get in front of people and let them try the product. And Crunch Fitness in Gainesville is actually great for, they're very supportive for startups. So they let us, shout out Crunch Fitness Gainesville. They let us set up a table there. And so what we usually do, and when people come in, free sample. So they'll get the taste profile right away because taste is a subjective thing. If people don't like the taste of their pre-workout, just right away they're going to be able to get the taste. They won't have any effective doses from that. And then based on if they've taken their pre-workout yet, we'll give them a free serving so they can actually test the product. And in the meantime, when they're sampling it, we can kind of, you know, explain our ingredients and ask them what they take and then explain the, you know, the different points and where we're better and, you know, explain our cost breakdown, explain a little, just educate them. And it's really, I mean, if we can give people a sample with a little bit of education beforehand, and let the product speak for itself when they work out, I mean, that's the best way to do it.
I think so too. It creates word of mouth too, especially at a gym. I think that's awesome that you guys were able to get into Crunch. I go to Crunch as well, so I think it's a great gym. But so I wanted to ask you guys about how you guys started. Tell me a little bit more about how you guys started Rebel, right? What was the process like? I know you guys started to experiment, but then how did you guys bring that experimentation into a real product?
Okay. So let's start from, you know, besides getting the supplier and everything up to what Daniel said, then you're going to establish an LLC, of course. You're going to establish a business entity. And then from there, you got to get into the basics, right? You're going to have to get your website created, which we messed around with Wix and then ClickFunnels, and then we ended up on Shopify. So we built the website, and then you got to get, you know, your basic marketing materials, your business cards, flyers. Yeah, like in the beginning, sure, we were complete noobs to it. So now looking back at it, we should have got more things and we should have got less other things. But you know, you're getting your basic needs covered and waiting on the shipment coming in. And that looks like, you know, you're setting up the social media accounts, you're coming up with marketing plans, strategies, you're outreaching to people that you think could be good potential customers. You know, you're kind of preparing to get the product and to do a hard launch. And a lot of that when you're first starting a company is, you know, you can research on YouTube. It's just a lot. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort because you don't necessarily know what you're doing. I mean, this was kind of our first actual venture into starting a business. So, you know, we always like to joke that if we had the knowledge we have now from running this business and we talked to ourselves right before we started the business, we'd be where we were today in a matter of months.
Really?
Because a lot of it,
That's-
you know,
yeah,
a
that's-
lot of
that's
it was
amazing.
just the knowledge gap of knowing to do this, knowing to talk to this person. You know, you want to seek advisors, you want to
Right.
seek this, instead of like going on YouTube and spending 3 hours of, you know, best way to customize a business card
Yeah.
and best way to what business card should I get? Like that stuff. It's important, but it's not really.
But you need to go through that process to understand it. And I think it's easy to look back as an entrepreneur and say, there's so many things that I did wrong, but it's actually more of like a learning experience. It's like, it's a form of it's literally just learning and it's experience.
Nothing's wasted.
Yes, nothing is
Even,
wasted.
even though you might look back at it and be salty that you spent that time on
Yes.
that when you could have spent it on this. I mean, hindsight's 2020. You wouldn't have known
Yeah.
any different. You know,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
just said, you don't know what you don't know.
Right,
Um,
right.
So
Right.
it was definitely a process, and we went through some. I think the biggest lesson we learned is to choose your business partners wisely.
Okay,
And,
that's what I was gonna ask about. How do you guys manage this, friendship, business relationship too? How is that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, going into it, there was actually three of us
Okay.
to start
Okay.
the company,
Mhm.
and we don't need to get into like the crazy specifics, but
it didn't work out.
it didn't work out.
Okay.
You know, we were doing a lot of work. Some others weren't doing as much work, and it just for the way our company was structured, it didn't make any sense for us.
Right.
And we had
We learned the hardest,
Yeah.
the hardest lesson, in my opinion. I hope it's one of the hardest lessons is, you got to choose who you're getting into business with wisely. We went through a business divorce and it really halted progress in our operations for a good portion of time because, long story short, the guy was located in a different part of the U.S. and it was hard for us to get our inventory and it was just a complete headache and something that we wish could totally be avoided. But
Yeah.
that's
No, that makes a lot of sense. We at Renova, I'm the co-founder of Renova, by the way. I didn't mention that at the beginning. We have three other co-founders all across. So we have two at Maryland and one at Buffalo. So we're also like spread out. And I guess it's harder as a physical product. It makes it even more challenging. But I definitely see how that's already a very challenging thing. Yeah, so I was going to ask you guys about how do you guys balance being students and founders at the same time? What is your piece of advice going through it, and what would you say is the experience of it?
I didn't answer that one.
Yeah. So really it comes down to effective time management and
Right.
utilizing deep work and really just making sure, of course, you want to get your school done and you don't want to half-ass it.
Right.
Am I allowed to say ass? Cut that out. You don't want to,
Yeah.
not put in all your
Half-butt it.
half-butt it, put in all your effort into it. But it's also, it comes down to what you really want.
Right.
As long as you're not gonna be, I can't even. There's no. If you're gonna be someone like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or someone that has $1 billion thing and you drop out, like that's an example. Those are the very
Right. Those
few
are-
and far between.
Yes.
But for
outliers.
someone like me, it's kind of just effective scheduling and time management.
Okay.
And understanding that if I utilize, deep and focused work for school, I can minimize the amount of time I actually have to spend on school and still achieve good grades.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time is kind of like it's scattered. We might have to have a meeting here. We plan a meeting here. We have to meet with the team
Yes.
here. We have to do this here. And it's like there's no necessarily set
Right.
schedule. It's like if I can prioritize
Mhm.
getting school done first, and then the rest I can backfill with whatever needs to be done. So
Right. Right.
it's definitely a delicate balance.
Right. Is it the same for you as well? Would you say it's
Well, not exactly because
Okay.
I'm not in college right
Okay.
now. So
Okay.
I mentioned that in the beginning, but I got this isn't like a main revenue. 'Cause we reinvest everything that we make from this right back.
Awesome.
We haven't taken a dime
Okay.
or a nickel like from anything we've made. So everything gets reinvested. So for someone like Aiden at school, that's the other priority. But I got other things outside of the business
Yes.
that I got to worry about, the have tos, and
So how do you balance that? Is it the
Yeah.
same thing? Time management.
it's time management, but it's also just it's a lot of it's a lot of work because the business brings a lot of work, and the other things that I do with various ventures that I have and other ways that I'm actually making money and income, those things take up a lot of work. So some days it's I'm in the office at 8 a.m. and I don't leave till like 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
You know, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Right.
But I'm willing to do that because, you know, I'm trusting in the process. I believe in us, and I think, you know, we're the most valuable assets that we have. And if we just, you know, we can take a gamble on that, and you know, I would take that risk any day.
So where would you see, I know you mentioned before we started about future plans.
Yeah.
What are some of your future plans, you know, in the next year, but also in the next 5 years? Where do you see?
Yeah,
Right.
I'll kind of go ahead and, you know, start
Go ahead,
with it. Yeah. So as you guys know, and I previously mentioned that if you, the sports nutrition industry, the supplement industry, you know, pre-workouts, protein powders is extremely saturated. Most of it's marketing, but you know, we're competing against big dogs. And we tried to branch in with the most valuable product we can provide and have better doses, you know, just a better overall product than all the pre-workouts. Still, it's far from easy. What we're already in the process of doing is having a more innovative and unique product within the same industry that is not been done yet. How we want to do it, and we can share it. Yeah, it's so essentially it's going to be a pre-workout gummy.
Interesting.
And that's going to have a lot of benefits of its own. It's going to be, you know, who doesn't like gummies? First of all, gummies are awesome. It's not going to result, you don't have to have a powder. You don't have to have
Like a bottle. Yeah.
It's just, you know, it could be a single serving pack.
And sell it at the gyms. It's way easier
It
to
could be
sell
single
it.
serving. You sell
next
it
to
Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon bulk. You have different ways. E-commerce. There's a lot of flexible options to sell it.
Right.
Stores will bite on it because, you know, they may have 30 people coming to them about pre-workout, but no store has a pre-workout gummy.
Right.
And the issue is there are some energy gummies online on Amazon, but really they're completely underdosed. And they'll pretty much just contain caffeine, and they won't even taste good either. So we're in R&D right now. We're in the process of developing a solid recipe. We have a manufacturer lined up, but that's kind of, I don't know, I probably missed some things if you want to add in. We have a little bit of a new team on our hands as well.
Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah. I mean, it's very exciting because, you know, with, you know, just I guess on a grand scale, a relatively small impact we've had with our pre-workout in this saturated market. There's no telling what we can do if we bring such a unique product that has never been done before to a market with essentially no competitors. Like the scalability here is I don't even know. There's no limit.
But you might face different challenges now, right? If you went into first a market where you have many different competitors and people that are familiar with a product that's similar to this.
Yeah.
So now it's different, you know, having to take gummies.
Exactly. And I think that this pivot, it's not, you know, we're not pivoting to a concrete business, right? Like we're staying kind of within that same industry, and all the knowledge and expertise we've learned competing against these huge $100 million supplement companies. All that knowledge of social media, website, you know, we're taking all that and we're transforming it to a product that from the looks of it is just gonna pique interest and sell way easier. So it's like let's change up, like let's stop playing in the NBA and let's go play against some fifth graders, right? That's kind of the analogy. But yeah, there's going to be a host of new problems, like the amount, like to produce a pre-workout, you kind of have to know how to hit your doses right, and you have to know, but it's really easy to kind of manufacture the amount of chemistry the confectionery chemistry that has to go into a gummy, and you have to have your own SOP in-house, and then you have to go back and forth with the manufacturing facility and make sure that holds constant with their machines and the pH is right and stuff doesn't, it's a lot.
Yeah, to summarize that, it's so much harder to do a gummy. And so I think the biggest reason that you don't really see a lot of gummies, although I'm sure there's a lot of things in the works because they're getting more and more popular. You're seeing them everywhere now, whether it's like melatonin gummies,
yes,
creatine gummies too. You know, that's a big one. But the biggest thing is the barrier to entry is it's very high, and that's because it's not an easy thing to do. Like,
Yeah,
you think
I
you
would
just
imagine.
go home, throw a little bit of gelatin in,
Yeah,
sweeten
that's
it,
how
like
it
it's
gets
not
started,
gonna happen.
yeah.
It'll be horrible. The ingredients will be completely like on one side, and they'll sink to the bottom.
So
Yeah, it's
also
hard.
with I don't know if this would make a difference, but I know when you would drink pre-workout, does that like affect you quicker than eating
So
gummies?
I think a gummy might take a little bit longer to digest. I don't
Right.
know about much longer because it's going to be simple sugars, right? It's going to
Right.
break down quickly. But another big thing about the gummies is it can kind of replace whether it's a rice cake, a banana, a pre-workout snack, a pre-workout meal, because we want people to have the carbs before the gym and have that glycogen store, which adds to the
Right.
pump and better workout performance. Everyone knows that if you can have that in a package with active ingredients from a pre-workout, then you're getting the best of both worlds and a
Right.
convenient, tasty little snack.
Interesting.
So it's
Yeah.
like the amount of, benefits and over a traditional pre-workout that it may have when it's done, it's like, let's do that. But there's new problems,
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah. By the way, are you guys mostly in Gainesville right now? Are most of your customers in Gainesville, or are they spread out more?
Definitely spread out. I would say,
Mostly-
part of me wants to say Gainesville, mostly Gainesville, but recently, we've been, all over. I guess, yeah, I guess
I'd say
mostly
mostly Gainesville, but mostly Florida in general.
Yeah.
Florida
Okay.
in general, but we're trying right now with this. Got some new stores on the, what was it? You said not Minnesota. What was
Yeah,
it?
Montana.
Montana, and then also Vegas. We're in talks with some stores to hopefully score some, bigger deals. But that's, you can't count your eggs before they
Yeah.
hatch. And another thing about the gummies is when we take that, because we want to kind of have a similar brand to the
Uh-huh.
gummies. We might not directly keep it under here, but make it recognizable still. Is that the attention from the gummies can also pull back to the pre-workout,
Definitely. Yeah.
and people be like, "Oh wow, like this is a great formula." So it's
Right.
it's more of like a trust in the brand recognition that's like, okay, they're making these gummies. I've never, may have never seen this, but it takes one look for someone that takes a pre-workout and understands the formula to look
Right.
at the formula and be like, okay, like
Yeah.
guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that some people might go to the gym, buy a quick gummy to, just because they've never been exposed to Rebel, and then want to buy
Great
a
lead.
bigger, yeah,
Lead
bigger
magnet,
total.
marketing exposure, uniqueness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it.
Super interesting. Super interesting. So I wanted to end off by just asking you guys to each give like your biggest piece of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. What would you say, shortest piece of advice? What is something that's going to help entrepreneurs today?
You want to start?
I can start. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say the single most important thing for aspiring entrepreneurs is just going to be action. It's going to be
I agree.
just taking the first
Yeah.
step and going. And if you're going in the wrong direction, like we talked about earlier, that knowledge you've learned in the wrong direction
Right.
can still be used to lead you back where you need to be.
I
And
agree.
it's, everyone likes to overthink and, they'll write a business plan, they'll think about doing this. And meanwhile, they haven't done anything that is actually going to
Right.
provoke change and
The
get
only-
them to where they need
yeah.
to be.
Yeah, right. The only valuable piece of information you're going to get is by actually doing something. So I think by going into the industry, you guys are gaining so much insight that you could use to start something like a gummy business that's potentially going to be a big differentiator.
And it's kind of a hard one. I wonder what you're going to come up with.
I'm just, it's right along those lines.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was gonna say. But I say the second thing is just don't be afraid to spend some money. I mean,
Okay.
it has to be appropriate to. I don't know what everyone's situation is looking like.
Right.
Of course, it depends on the individual, but
Mhm.
don't be afraid to spend some money, even if you feel
Right.
like you just burned $200 on ads or something and it goes to waste. It never really goes to waste because that's essentially the cost of that failure. Which what is even failure? Failure is the knowledge and the experience. So essentially, you kind of wasting money, on the short term side, it may just seem like and I don't know if this business thing is for me, but what did you learn from wasting that money? Well, you learn not to do it again.
And that saves you thousands down the line, and you understand your money will be better used elsewhere. And when he's saying that, it's not like, yeah, let's bet our whole money's capital on, let's go to the casino. Like, no, that's a complete waste of money, right? But failure is compost, and even that's, you're gonna need to fail. Honestly, we want to fail faster. We want to fail as fast as we can, so that we can understand, like, okay, don't do this. Stay away from that. Learn from that. Go here.
Right.
So
yeah, and it's funny because I'm sure a lot of the business owners and people that are doing relatively well will say something along the same lines, and it's like, we've heard all this stuff too. We're like, yeah, I know. Everyone says this, but it's for a reason. It's true. It's just something that you have to do it. You have to do it. There's no other way.
There's no way around it.
There's no way around it.
All the cliches and corny sayings that you hear when you're starting out, you're like, yeah, whatever. There must be a secret to this. Like, there has to be a way to do this on the back end. It's like,
they got lucky.
Yeah, it's really, it's funny because the more we learn and grow, the more we understand that those basic cliche and corny sayings are just truth. They're principles of entrepreneurship, and you just gotta once you understand that and embrace that. I would add another thing too, besides action. Another thing is delayed gratification.
Okay.
There's a weird paradox with entrepreneurship that we've been discovering lately, is that you have to have the utmost urgency day to day to get everything done and move the business forward. But at the same time, you have to delay your gratification years and years out.
Yeah.
So it's that weird paradox of, like, you're struggling, you're trying to do everything as fast as you can, but at the same time,
results of the same.
And then you realize you have to step back and understand, like, there's no get rich quick. Like, there's no overnight success. It's going to be down the road.
Yeah, I think one thing just to add on to that is, I'm probably going a little over, is just celebrate the small wins. Celebrate the little stuff. Be proud of that.
That's very
because
nice,
the big stuff is going to come, and that's just the delaying, that end gratification, which may be years from the point at which you're at now. But if you celebrate those little day-to-day wins, that could be enough for someone to just keep propelling forward.
I think so too. I think so. Motivating. Yeah. I think there's something very great about starting a business when you're young, because, like you said, you don't have as much to lose as if, later down the road you have more money to lose, you have more responsibilities. And now when you're young, you guys I think it's the best time to start.
Correct.
You learn the most. So I want to thank you guys for coming on Coffee Talks. I'd like to thank the sponsors, Afternoon Roasting and Seven Ashes Productions, for making this possible. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, it's a pleasure.